Live. There.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Howard. Welcome to Rotary E Club of North Texas. Today is Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. We appreciate you guys coming today. We have no outside guest outside of our memberships, but we do have our guest speaker, Reggie Davis, here today. Mr. Chris, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
On the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. All right, please join me as we have our opening prayer. Lord Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. Thank you for the hands and feet of Rotary and being with David and Linda as they traveled to Florida to hear about the new ventures that Rotary International has planned. God, we believe in the magic of Rotary and the power that you give us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. We were just kind of going over our club announcements. Hey, Mr. Blake, I see you joined. We do have a Rotary board meeting coming up the 1st of February, and we're going to be looking at scheduling some upcoming socials in March. We'll have Miss Linda's not feeling well today, so at our next meeting, she'll fill us in on the exciting activities at International based upon the convention that she attended. With that, is there anything else for club announcements? Well, that was pretty quick and easy. Mr. Howard, back to you to introduce our speaker, Mr.
Okay.
Reggie Davis.
Reggie is going to lecture or share with us information about the Maxwell Leadership Program, and that's our topic for today. And Reggie, if you want to use PowerPoint, you just click on the bottom where it says share screen. And if the members could mute their microphones while he's speaking, unless he asks us questions and we need a response. So if there's any background noise like a pet or a kid that's screaming in the background, it won't interrupt his presentation. And Reggie, it's all yours.
All right, can you guys hear me? Okay, great. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight. I'm always encouraged by the work of Rotary. I get the opportunity to speak to a lot of Rotaries across the Metroplex, and I am always amazed and always certainly so glad to see the good community work that's being done by Rotary. So that's something really positive I really get a kick out of. So a little bit about me. I've been in Texas for 11 years now, and I'm from Kansas City originally, so I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I will say I'm a fair weather fan. When they're doing well, I'm a fan, but when they're not doing well, then I tend to say I told you so. But we love Texas. My wife and I have been married to the same young lady for over 36 years. And we really love Texas. We've lived in 7 different states in my supply chain career. And unless God moves us, Texas is going to be home for us. So we're really glad to be here. My sole purpose today is to really to share some things with you all that I've learned in my many years of leadership. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to have a slide up that will have all my contact information. So if something that I say today, if it interests you or if it makes you think, I want to learn more about that, then please be ready to take a picture of the screen and feel free to contact me so that we can talk more about how I can help you with your leadership. All I ask you to do today is to have an open mind. Just be open to say, hey, maybe I can hear something today from this guy who maybe had somewhat of a successful career in supply chain leadership. So that's our goal today. All right, so let's look at this. The core leadership that I'm going to talk about today comes from John Maxwell's internationally best-selling book that's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Now, this book has been translated into 47 different languages all over the world. Millions of copies have been sold. And I can tell you that the people in corporate America look at this book as really as a leadership Bible for the organization. So learning about leadership is not just something that you'll learn and hear about in business. It also can help you as you serve the community as well. Now, just because someone has the title that they are a leader, it doesn't make them a leader. The greatest reflection or the greatest example of someone being a leader is to really determine how much influence that person has. You can be called a leader, but that doesn't make you a leader. You can be given a title as a leader, that doesn't make you a leader. Talent, education, it doesn't always equal great leadership. Think about Bill Gates, for example. Bill Gates, he's a multi-billionaire, one of the richest men in the world, but he dropped out of Harvard. So he started Microsoft as a Harvard dropout. So it's not education that makes the person a leader. It's not the background that they have in education or leadership studies. The book that we talked about, the 21 Laws of Leadership, the one law that I really like is the law of the lid. And the law of the lid really gives us the understanding of a person's ability to determine what kind of leadership level they might have. This leadership lid determines their effectiveness and how effective they can be and will be as a leader. The greater impact you have, the greater influence you might have. So let's take a look at this. Let's say that this is a leadership lid, okay? And let's say on a scale of 1 to 5, this is a 5. On a scale of 1 to 10, this is a 5. Well, if that's my leadership lid, I would never be able to exercise or go over that level of leadership because that's my lid. So I have to understand that wherever my lid is, I can never lead my organization anywhere greater than that. Now, I know many of you have heard of McDonald's, and we all know about the Star McDonald's and the hamburgers. Well, the McDonald brothers, Dick and Maurice McDonald, they actually started off in California as a barbecue joint. They had selling barbecue, and that was successful, but they wanted to do something a little bit more, a little bit turn a little faster. So they started doing hamburgers and milkshakes, and they called it a speedy service. So they were able to turn orders and get more done and became really, really successful. Well, that was great, and they wanted to take that success of that one restaurant and they wanted to duplicate it and multiply it. Well, they tried to do it and it failed miserably. They were smart, they were good businessmen, but they couldn't make it duplicate. Along comes this guy named Ray Kroc. When Ray Kroc got involved in business, Ray Kroc had a greater and a higher leadership lid. And from 1955 to 1959, Ray Kroc opened over 100 McDonald's. And then the rest of that is history. Now, the McDonald brothers were smart, but they had a leadership lid. And I want to talk to you today about another example of how a leadership lid can impact an organization. I love sports. Anybody here from Kansas or know anything about Kansas University or Kansas State? Anybody? Well, I grew up in Kansas. I'm a Big 12 sports fan. I love Big 12 basketball, Big 12 football. And you can see a great example of leadership lid in sports. And I went to the University of Kansas. I met my wife there. So I have a great affiliation and a great love for University of Kansas. So this example I'm going to share, actually, it's hard for me to talk about it because it's our arch rival, Kansas State University. I went to Kansas University. This is Kansas State. Kansas State had the worst Division I football program in history at this time. This was in the late 80s. They were the only school to lose 500 games in football. Now, the University of Kansas was close. They probably lost 490 games, but they weren't as bad as Kansas State. In 1988, here comes a new coach named Bill Snyder. Bill Snyder came in, he changed the mindset, he began to change the practices, and he began to change their uniforms and change their culture, how they think and how they practice, and how they believe. He changed their schedule. And I will tell you that in his 16 years, in his 16 years as coach, he won over 260 games at Kansas State. That was more than all the other coaches combined had won in the previous 60 years. So what happened? Bill Snyder changed the culture. He changed how they thought. He changed how they prepared. He changed their mindset. So he increased the leadership lid of the organization because he had a greater influence. He was so influential that they even changed the name of the stadium to Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I think that's pretty awesome, and it's pretty impactful how one person can change the culture of an entire university, of an entire city. It was the same crappy university with the same crappy city, but he changed the culture. So that taught me something, that an important aspect of leadership is that it can be learned. You can learn leadership. So because he changed the culture, and because he used different practices and different things to make them believe that they could do something different than what they'd done in the past, he had a change in the influence of how they thought and how they approached the game of football. So the greater impact you have, the greater influence you need to have. And that taught me something, that there's good news, that you can learn how to become a better leader. You can learn the ability to influence people, to add value to people. And when I first learned this, I thought, what a brilliant idea. It immediately changed how I looked at leadership and leading people. Look at this Zig Ziglar quote. It says that if you are not willing to learn, then no one can help you. But if you are determined to learn, then no one can stop you. So people who are stuck in their leadership can learn how to raise their leadership lid if they just learn this concept that I teach in leadership. I have a degree in human biology. I went to dental school. I went to learn how to be a dentist, and I thought I was really good at science, but I learned that I really wasn't as good as I thought I was. By a divine series of events, I ended up in a supervisory role in Topeka, Kansas, at a very small mailing company. I knew absolutely nothing, zero, zilch about leadership, and guess what I did? I learned. My first supervisory role, I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know about the department, didn't know about people. So I began to read books and read articles of people who I knew were great leaders. So I said, wow, I love cars and I love automobiles. And Lee Iacocca had written a book called his autobiography, and he talked about how he went from Ford to Chrysler and how he made Chrysler turn it around and began to apply different principles. And then Sam Walton had a book, Made in America, Mary Kay Ash, People Management, and John Maxwell, and One Minute Manager, and all these other books. Now, this was before the internet, so I couldn't just go and Google leadership and get a bunch of information. I had to do it the old hard way of reading and going to the library and finding resources about leadership. What I didn't realize then, that I understand now, was that I was raising and influencing my leadership lid because I was learning about leadership from great leaders. My second leadership role was at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company in Topeka, Kansas. This was a tire manufacturing plant. Now, this was an old union plant, and it had been around 50 years, and it was hot, it was dirty, and I was working sometimes 6 or 7 days a week. I was working night shift. It was a tough job, but I had a title. I had a title as an area manager, and I thought that was really something. But what I realized was that there were people who were working at that plant in my department who had been working there longer than I had been alive. So my title as an area manager meant absolutely nothing to them at all. So what I began to learn and began to apply was I let them understand that I valued them as people and that I valued the teamwork that it was going to be required to get things done. Because my title by itself didn't mean absolutely nothing to them. But once they understood that I appreciated them and that I valued them, I respected what they had to say and their ideas, then I learned that people really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So it starts with an intention to learn, an intention to want to increase or raise your lid. Many organizations spend thousands of dollars to get talented people to come in and work in their organization. But those talented people are they're not able to maximize their abilities. They're held back because if the leadership isn't effective enough, then they will impact how much growth and how much things can happen in that particular organization. So raising your lid is a process like anything else. You have to grow. You have to want to grow. You have to get in a growth zone. And many times being in a growth zone takes you outside your comfort zone. And that is what's going to help you grow. You have to be intentional in your ability to grow your leadership lid in order to have greater influence. So I help people in organizations and churches, small groups, individuals. I help them raise their lid by doing leadership trainings. And one of the tools that I use is this book that I talked about earlier, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And the great thing about this book is that it has some fantastic topics and chapters that really are very impactful to help people, leaders, grow in their leadership influence. The law of the process, for example, it helps us to understand that leaders are not made in a day. They're made in a series of time, over a period of time. The law of addition says that leaders add value by serving others, by helping other people be successful. The law of respect says that people naturally follow leaders who are greater leaders or better leaders than they are. Then there's a book that I really like as well that is the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So this book is for people, let's say they're not a leader. Let's say that they're just a support team person, they're a staff person. This book helps people because it helps us to grow as individuals, which anybody and everybody needs. The law of intentionality, it tells us that growing and growth and development is not something that happens just by chance. It's something that we have to have a mind to do. We have to be intentional in our growth. And then the law of awareness says that you have to know yourself and know your shortcomings in order to grow yourself. And then the law of consistency, it tells us that motivation might get you going, but it's the discipline and the consistency of doing it day after day after day that keeps you growing. So I teach these laws along with my many years of intentional growth examples that help me lead and influence a team of 5,000 people during the holiday times in my supply chain career. So you and I, we're both responsible for our own success and the success of our teams. We have to take ownership if we're going to grow in our leadership. If we're going to increase our lid, then we have to take ownership of it. John Maxwell shared this quote, and I think it's really great. He says, it's easier to go from failure to success than to go from excuse to success. What that means to me is that we can try some things and fail, and that's okay, because at least we understand what doesn't work. But if we make excuses to why we didn't do this, or why we didn't start this, or why we didn't make this happen, then that road to success is a great road, because you've never even tried and you never started. So let's ask yourself this question. How can I be effective? How can this Reggie guy help me? How can I become a better leader? Here's some things to ask yourself. What is my leadership lid? Do I know what it is? Do I know how to find out what it is? Am I doing all I can do to grow myself? Am I doing all I can do to grow my team? And then this is an important question, that if I do understand that I need to grow and I want to grow, then what is my leadership development plan? What's my plan? Because leadership is something you can learn, I'm going to offer to you all today, this group today, a complimentary lunch and learn for you and or your team to help you talk through your leadership development, help you develop a leadership plan, and then help you grow in your leadership. So I do one-on-one coachings. I coach large teams, I coach small teams, I coach nonprofit organizations, because I can teach you and I can teach your teams how to perform at a higher level. Teams that are empowered, teams that are inspired and have a clear vision and purpose, those are the teams that can reach their leadership goals. So leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something that you want them to do because they want to do it. So my leadership information, my information is on the screen. Again, I am a Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and coach. I have years and years of experience in corporate America, years and years of experience in churches, organization. So please take a picture of my information there if I can help you or help your team in your growth for leadership. So thank you all for this time. Is there any questions or any comments that you have for me at this time?
Yeah, Reggie, it may be my own technical difficulties, but I don't see your presentation on. Does anybody else see it?
No. No.
Okay.
Because I would like to make sure we capture your contact information.
All
It's
right.
not there. Make sure you're doing it to everyone and not just to one person.
Can you see it now?
No.
Oh,
Oh, there it comes.
there we go.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm gonna just take a picture of that. All right, Mr. Chris, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. So I am a reader of the such deal. If I can undo my background, I have the exact book that you're speaking on, and a lot of what you're saying does go in, and yeah, I agree with the majority of what you said. I think the biggest thing that I disagreed was with how McDonald's transitioned. I don't think it was a leadership deal. I think it was an evolution issue. They had a lid on that because they went from doing, correct me if I'm wrong, they were doing the drive-in movie theater kind of deal, and then they transitioned to doing just doing food. And then they tried to franchise. They were trying to patent how they want to do stuff, but they brought in the other gentlemen to help them out.
Right.
It was more of evolution than them doing their own thing. That's my thing. Okay, it's not leadership because they made money. It just they declined when they tried to franchise.
That's very good, Chris, and I appreciate you bringing that point. So again, they were successful. They were extremely successful what they were doing, but they wanted to grow that. They wanted to expand that, and that's where the leadership then came in. That's where the process came in. You're absolutely right. So it was a change in their processing that Ray Kroc helped them with to enable them to grow their business. So thank you for bringing that up, Chris.
Oh, but yeah, everything you said is on point. I just got the book last month.
Awesome.
So I love it. It's a good read.
It's a great read, and again, I've learned so much from John Maxwell. Any other questions or any other comments?
Yeah, so I kind of want to post this up to the group and kind of get some buy-in for the folks. Had a great conversation with my best friend a couple weeks ago, and just talking about, you know, how in today's society people have evolved and changed so much, especially after COVID. It just seems like you see more people with tattoos and piercings and different color hair. People are all about expressing themselves, and you know we're kind of led to not judge and accept people for who they are. But I kind of feel like too, what happened to that old school leadership of you dress for success and you dress for the job that you would want. I'm just kind of interested to see, you know, kind of paralleling, you know, what you think about that, Mr. Davis, and other folks in the team.
Wow, that's a tough question because you know, we are in a different generation, different time, and I'm an old school guy. So I have the privilege of my daughter. She's a chief diversity officer at the University at Ohio State University, one of their campuses, and she's helping me to understand that we have to receive and accept people as they are, even if it's different than what we think. or what we've been used to, because as you said, people express themselves differently, and we have to respect that. And I've learned in my leadership career that I'm okay with people who look different or maybe have a different hairstyle than I do, but the key is, will they do and can they do the job? And that's what I focus on. Because again, at the end of the day, we all go home to take care of our families, and I want them to do the job that is required. So I've opened up my perspective on people in that way. So thank you for asking. That's a great question. Robin, I think you have your hand up.
Yeah, hey, Reggie, I was just going to say, I'm on the Maxwell leadership team too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's great to know a person that's in it as well, because I'm like, there's not enough of us.
There's not. Just talking to 50,000 now, Robin, just this month.
Yeah, I had seen that, but I took your number and information down or I did a screenshot, because I'm like, I want to keep in contact, because someone who has been doing this longer than I have has a lot more value, and like your presentation tonight, I'm like, that is like, now I kind of know like how to do it, so I appreciate that from like the learning aspect, because that's what I want to get into, is how to do that, like the business side. But like, it's funny.
You probably teach some things too, so great.
Well, I was going to say, like, that law of the lid, I have been trying to understand how it even works. Like, I have a lot of Maxwell books myself, but I'm like, that is one that I've struggled with, because I'm like, there's certain things that I can't do,
Right.
but I'm like, I have someone else trying to help me to do it, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this online stuff, I'm like, I don't have a teenager to go grab all mine and too little. But I'm just saying, like, that's where I noticed, like, that new kind of diversity with Tim Elmore. I love his material, because I'm like, that really speaks to that communication of the generation gaps.
It does. But Robin, the first step is what you just said, though, to realize that, hey, I don't know. And so that's the first step to learning. So hats off to you for that, and you'll do great, you'll do well, because you understand, hey, I don't know some things, and that's how you seek to learn. So great step, great first step.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I love your presentation a lot. Just so
Thank you.
know that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I would appreciate you guys' comments. Anybody else?
Yeah, Reggie, since we did not get, the benefit of seeing your presentation, can I email and request that from you to share it among our
Yeah.
members?
Yes, I will be happy to do that.
Okay.
Again, so I apologize I didn't come up real quick.
Yeah, no worries.
Or to you. So I'll email it to the email address that I have.
Here, I'll put my email in the chat box. And if you'll. Then I can forward it to everybody. Perfect. If there's nothing else, thank you again so much, Mr. Reggie, for your presentation today. I enjoyed the stories about the football coach that made a great team, but it was still a crappy school. I thought that was funny. All right, is there anything else for the better good of Rotary tonight? You guys were early.
Jared, I do have a question for Reggie. I just thought of it.
Yes.
What has been your motivation that you have found, like on the days that it was hard for you to keep going?
That's a really great question, Robin. So first of all, I have 3 children, and I was very focused on, because supply chain is a very tough field, and I've done it for 3 decades. But that was my motivating factor, was that I wanted to make sure that they were taken care of and well taken care of. So I didn't get tired, I didn't get frustrated, I didn't get where I didn't want to do this anymore, because it did provide a great lifestyle for me and my family. So I'm thankful for that. And plus, my wife couldn't let me stop. She wouldn't let me. And again, it's rewarding, because we live in 7 different states, as I said, but my kids went to really good schools, and they were able to to all go to college and graduate. And I think that's because, again, of the life that we maybe provide for them, and the grace of God who helped us through those times. So great question.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, well, with that, we'll go ahead and close up with the Rotarians four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Number one, the first, is it true?
True.
Second, is it
Is it
fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, will it be fun? With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Reggie. Bye.